welcome now Tobias Engelmeier. Tobias Engelmeier is the founder of Village Data Analytics. Village Data Analytics is using satellite pictures to analyze the situation in the developing world, whether people have access to water, identify civilization, etc. While this does not have a direct impact on democratization, it has an indirect one, because if governments know where the people live and how they live, they might be able to cast their vote at a certain time. Welcome, Tobias, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Henry, and hi, everybody. Yeah, as Henry alluded to, I might be a kind of odd one out because our kind of road to GovTech is a slightly different one. We are working with governments and we're trying to empower them to deliver essential services and infrastructure investments much better than they have done in the past, impacting many people along the way. We work in very data scarce environments, so the challenge is not really how to source data. Sorry, the challenge is how to source data, but the challenge is not so much how to make use of existing data, but how to get data in the first place. And yeah, I wanted to show you quickly what we do with Village Data Analytics. Just a short aside, I had to drop that here because you guys are one of the rare audiences where that might count for something, but I've actually got a PhD in political science, so that's where I come from originally. Let me quickly, let me briefly share my screen. So what we do is, so I'm an entrepreneur. I'm really concerned about making these big shifts in the world happen that we need, in my view, especially climate change adaptation, global inequality. And I've been working, I spent 7 years in India. I've worked in Africa for a lot of time. And I've always kind of tried to figure out how to make changes at scale. And my approach to that has been to use what I call, what's called generally social businesses. So businesses as a tool for a social purpose. About 4 years ago, we were working, my team and I were working on electrifying remote villages in Papua New Guinea. And the first question was, where are the villages that we want to provide electricity to? We just knew that in Papua New Guinea, there's hardly a grid, so most of the population lives off grid. Energy, as you all well know, is a key, as a cornerstone to any kind of modern life, including data forms of digitalization, but much more prosaically, moving from manual agriculture to more modern forms of agriculture. And the problem was that it's really difficult to find out how where suitable villages for this kind of investment are. So we went to Papua New Guinea. We spent, I think, 6 months there. We did surveys. We traveled around, and we came back with data that was just really not very good for various reasons, right? It was qualitative data, quantitative. It just wasn't. It didn't give us a good, solid picture. We did invest, but it just it wasn't with a very strong feeling, and it took us far too long. So we started to look at what kind of data sources are available to us to speed up that process, because there's no way we can survey these 2 billion people who live in that part of the world that we work in order to check how they can, how to best provide basic services. So we needed to find scalable data-driven solutions. And that's when we turned to satellite imagery. We worked very closely with the European Space Agency, but we work also with NASA and Maxar and Planet. And we built with Village Data Analytics a software that is now used by governments and that combines on-ground information with bottom-up data collection. And it's that combination of top-down and bottom-up that creates a lot of opportunities. It might be a bit difficult, or many of you might know this, but the world we live in is, of course, hyper-connected. We order our food online and, navigate our way through traffic and are constantly in our phones. The world the governments we work with, for example, currently in Sudan or Ethiopia or Sierra Leone or Lesotho or in Pakistan for that matter, often know quite little about that part of the population that is not urban and not connected to the electricity grid, so the remoter areas, the remoter villages. There might be some old census data, there might be some, pieces of information here and there, but it doesn't come together as a picture for them. And as a result, it's very, very difficult for them to make good planning decisions and to allocate money efficiently. And as a result of that and all that intransparency around it, it doesn't happen enough, which is why it's one of the core reasons why we have underdevelopment. So that's the challenge that we're tackling, and we do that by combining Earth observation data. We have developed certain algorithms, for example, algorithms that use nightlight imagery, daylight information, topography, infrastructure to predict where the current electricity grid is. So that's the level at which we are working. The governments are not. They know where their high voltage grid lines are, but they don't really know where their medium voltage grid lines are, which places are connected. They don't know what the quality of electricity supply is in these regions, at least not at the level of central decision makers. So we do this using algorithms, and then I know it's an overused word, but we create digital twins of these areas of sorts. It's mapped out for the first time. It's made visible for the first time, which is incredibly powerful. And then the users start to gather and integrate on-ground data sources into this structure that we've created. And yeah, we're doing this in several countries already. I mentioned that before. I'm quite, we work with the World Bank, with the World Food Program, different companies in that field of electrification, and catalyzing a lot of investment through the vida platform, which has only been up fully operational since February of this year. And I think the main point I've alluded to already is that it's impossible to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals without integrating the part of the population, the 2 billion people that are living in remote areas in underdevelopment, to our data economy. So that's where we are coming from. And now just trying to connect that to what kind of has been discussed here before, which I found really, really, really exciting and interesting and fantastic approaches. When we think about, so we are trying to figure out and solve a very specific fundamental problem, and doing that with our customers and users. But there are challenges around that. So questions are, data security, what is our data used for? Can it be misused? Are our algorithms, do they have biases in them? How do we address those biases? We are integrated into various open source systems. We are thinking of open data solutions. So our mission at the end of the day is to accelerate the change we want to see in these regions where we work. And in many cases that might require innovative, maybe non-business approaches to it. So I'm really interested perhaps in the conversation and a discussion later to hear from the crowd here, any ideas that they might have on that. But that's fundamentally, that's what we do. And I'll stop there. Thank you so much.